Mrs. Turner, do you want me to send clothes down for David? I'm going to have a visit and not stay too long. Mom had her way saying get home.
Send an overnight kit back for you.
Yeah, you bet. JT mentioned all of our loved ones that have passed and all of them. Just privileged that Joe and Helen and I are still here. Helen, you probably all know, but if you don't know, was a rest home down the street across from the hospital. It's okay to go visit her, JT?
Sure, she's not connected all the time. She's kind of like a distant AM station. You can tune her in sometimes. Other times you just gotta keep your sense of humor, and she'll the other day she says, Dad's Ford in the driveway. Well, I don't want to take that trip.
Yeah.
And she'll go there, and then she'll ask me, how's Bill? Is Bill up a penny still? Where's Bill today? And she'll kind of float in and out. We just gotta ride with her where she is.
Yeah, she can show her character once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
She still teaches the staff a few colorful terms.
Well, that reminds me that Kim sent me a message talking, and she said, well, if we were there, we're gonna, at the talent show, we're gonna excel in Japanese. Well, of course, she has a son that lives in Japan and speaks fluent Japanese. And I said, well, we've got a bunch of good cussers. And she came back and says, we have Vicky. I said, you win. Oh, what a wonderful family. Being the youngest, and actually what's happening to me now is I'm getting restored. I've got 2 artificial knees, 2 artificial hips, got part of my gut, and they said if I had a brain, we'd fix that. But those parts I'm preserving. The rest of me is passing. But those artificial places are staying pretty good. But any event, remembering, JT's already remembered it, but Alpha and Omega found out Alpha and I was Omega. And I'm just glad that Dad and Mom stuck in there till I got there.
Here too.
And real quickly, it doesn't have anything to do about church, but yesterday I want you to know that Mike and Rick and I played golf yesterday, and we got first in the 3rd division. They only had 2 divisions. But not really. They didn't.
No.
We did get first.
They did good.
What was going on was that when we were playing golf on it was like 2 Clydesdales dragging an old mule. Hit the ball and drag David. Hit the ball and drag David. But we had a lot of fun, and played with the 3 other guys that were good guys. And Ben Fowler helped set up and was there. How many have been down and thrown axes? You get any of them to stick? But Ben had a spot out there, and Mike hit a bullseye. Helped us get number 1. Those are things that we enjoy about the family. Fight like dogs, we love like lovers, but we care for each other, and that's what I appreciate about all of you. Sometimes we have our temperament may show a little bit, and all of us. I think we all gained a pretty good amount of temperament, but I hope also we gained a tremendous amount of love. And when I didn't know Dad's first wife, Molly and Dad provided for us and provided for why we're all here today and our extended families. And JT, I think we're going to remember, take a minute.
Why don't we take a remember, and let's all think of people who have passed that you would like to remember right now, please just call them now.
Well, it's kind of, and we start with Fowler.
Okay.
So I'll try to.
You'll work
lead you
down
through
there and then we'll
them.
go from there. Well, we,
So Thelma and Reed. Eller and Jeet, and then of their children, Bill is still living, and then Sally and,
help if you know the answer.
Dick.
and our daughter that passed away early in life.
Was it Ann?
Ann, and then, Vernon and Mamie, and they had Jim and Joy, and they passed away. And then Ione, I thought Billy would be here. Ione and Lawrence, and Lawrence, of course, Jim and Shirley, and Billy, and, Billy's husband, Glenn, has passed. And then go to Paul and Charlotte, and Paul Jr. is still living in New Zealand, either Australia or New Zealand. And then we go to the back nine.
Back nine.
Lynn and Carrie, and Carolyn is still, and anytime you wanna interrupt me and add something.
Sure.
Lynn and Carolyn is still living, her husband's passed away, she has a daughter. Doris is, and Bob, and I believe Susie and Tommy and Catherine. You wanna add anything, Susie?
Well.
Are you still alive?
Oh, yeah, I know you have some of your children were here, absolutely.
There's Peachy.
Hi, there's Peachy.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Bill, come up here. Oh, okay, where are we? Sit right there by Jenny. She smells. but
I'm
she's-
glad you're here, so you tell me what to
Glad to
do.
get here. Well, we just passed through.
We passed you.
We're naming our families, and your mother and Ione and Lawrence, back to lost Glenn and, Jim and so. So we're down to Doris?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say that as I get older, I remember and recognize my mother for giving. She gave a lot more than I recognized at the time, but now I'm recognizing.
Well, Doris said, I love you, David, I don't like you.
Well, that's kind of a common thread that runs through the family.
But anyway, okay, Doris Peachy and John. And Peachy and Brent, well, Becky, Brent, Bruce, Barry, and Brad. They lost Brad early on in a 4th of July accident. What about I left out? Denny and any of the
John.
Denny's here today?
She said John.
Okay. Peachy, Joe and Vic, and Vicky, David, Michelle, and Kim. And I'm not gonna try to name all the
Yeah,
nieces,
great.
nephew, grandchildren. I think we're close to having the most, grandchildren though, aren't we, Jeannie? I mean, there's 17 grandchildren and, what, 11 or 12 great-grandchildren?
There's,
We're gaining on it, we got another one coming right away.
And you were a big contributor, Jenny.
I did my part.
I've always gotta give her a bad time about that. Okay, Helen and John, let's see, Joe, of course, Joe and Dick, and, Joe is, had a recent bout of pneumonia. Joe's had a, coughing and a, breathing problem for most of her life. But I went to see her, yesterday, and of course, she was kind of recovering, anyway, She looked horrible to me when we first got there, but the longer we were there, she looked better. Any of you, Mike and Dan, you went by and to see her. But hopefully we're gonna get to celebrate 100 years with her next March. And that will be a good gathering. And, okay, so Bill and Wade Dean. And then they had one son, Joseph, and he had a lovely wife called Susie. And they had a couple of kids. There's a Clay. Clay's a Spaniard now.
Even had an accent.
Can you speak Spanish?
Spanish, Fowler.
But anything, Susie or Clay,
Bill, Ben, and Hannah, of course.
Bill and Hannah.
And Ben.
What?
And Ben.
Oh, Benjamin. Backstory.
Benjamin.
Yeah, Ben's done real well with his Backstory. He's gonna open up again. What else, Susie?
I've just been so grateful this weekend to be a part of this family.
You are
And
part of
that-
this family.
And that my children have all of you. It's just so, I'm so grateful.
We're grateful for you.
And, I love you all.
Don't expect us to love you all the time.
You have to, 'cause I love you.
You said it wrong. Don't expect us to like y'all.
Yes.
That's okay.
That's right. Okay, well, go ahead, JT.
Are we, we're working our way down.
Yeah, we're down to
Are we-
Bill.
We taking care of Bill. I'm gonna talk about Bill in a minute, but who's next?
Helen.
Helen.
And the cannolis outdid us all yesterday.
We had 27
Wow,
Oh.
that's wonderful.
in the picture.
Well, Helen and John, they had seven? I think 7 half children.
Africans.
Let's see if I can name here, let's see, John and Stephen and JT Penny.
No, JT.
JT and Penny, Patty, Laree and Bill, right? Okay, what are you gonna say, JT? What are you gonna say about the Canola family?
We're honored to be descendants of the Fowler.
Well, that, JT is, I wanna say that our extended family, to me, at being the youngest, I grew up and I was, until I married Betty, I got gifts from everybody, but, when I got married, no, that was exciting for me, being the youngest, watching everybody and all of my family.
Well, tell us about the members of your family.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We ain't there. Okay, any more? Patty, did you have her? Penny, did you have her? Stephen? No? You just show up. Hi, Ben! Come on, you got an axe with you? Hi, good to have you, man. We just got past you. We're happy to have you here. Thank you. Let's see, we're Helen,
Jaker.
and then, no, we're George.
George and Jacob.
George and Georgianne and Michael. Georgianne and Mike, I'll have to remembering George was my hero and my tormentor. Good friend that played with. And we'd be in the evening playing, having a good time, playing Cowboys and Indians or whatever. And George would show up and he'd have us in a fight within 5 minutes. But, no, George was a great guy. Sorry that we lost him in 1954 in a horrible automobile accident, of course. Mike, how old were you when your dad passed away? 5. And Georgie was pregnant with Georgianne. And What, Susie?
I don't know if Georgianne remembers, but before she was born.
She
George-
probably. Georgianne, remember that?
I do
I
know the
remember.
story because we talked about it this weekend.
But anyway, George would look at Catherine and say, oh, I hope I have a little girl just like Catherine. And lo and behold, Georgianne was born, and she kind of looked just like Catherine.
Everything can't be right.
Of course, Georgie.
Well, Georgie, absolutely. Georgie, one of the funny things about, I remember men telling about George, George was over visiting, her name, Wood, and family, and then in the evening, and horrible rainstorm came up, and Georgie was saying, Mrs. Wood come out and said, George, do you want to just stay all night here with this storm going on? And he said, sure. So she came back out there, and pretty soon George came back, wringing wet. Well, where did you go, George? I had to go home and ask Mom if I could stay. And well, I want to also, Rick came into the family, I think. Yeah, I did. Rick enjoyed it very much, and of course, want to acknowledge Tim, your father, is the only father Georgianne has known. He was a great father to Mike and Georgianne and their family.
It was a blessing.
A blessing. Yes.
And Julie.
Any,
Well, we're going.
okay, Julie.
Millie got Jan.
Man, Jim. You like it?
You like, we have Linda.
Hi, George, and then George and your wife. What's your name?
Shelby?
Shelby?
Yes.
Were you born in Shelby, Missouri?
No.
No.
I'm divorced, man.
We're happy to have you here, Shelby.
Thank you. It's-
First time. How many first timers are here? Hold your hand up, Dave.
Drink around her, but she's still here.
Anything more about George? I know they got a vet in those days, maybe St. Mary's, that's the gym we had there in Arcadia, was the seats on the sideline, was that it? The one row of seats on the sideline, and then they had a balcony, and we had a game with St. Mary's, one, here, and things didn't go real well. Things got into disruption, but they had, those times they had real glass bottles, broken bottles.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, George naturally got in the middle of that. Mr. Bowles locked him up in his office. He opened the window and crawled out the window and got back into it. Anyway, it was okay, JT, everybody's, he probably was, a favorite of the family. I don't like to admit that. But JT's namesake, JT was popular as well. He was a person that, very caring, cared about, he did care about, and he remembered names. He had an amazing ability. I'd ask him about putting both of us on the banking family side of the banking family. And I've asked JT about a person in a certain town. Hell, he could name the family. He knew, that's what he did. He traveled and he was a correspondent, but he studied the family. But he literally could tell you about the family of that bank. He and I had discussions once in a while, a little violent, a little bit loving, but JT became my best friend. After that, not that you all are my best friend, hopefully, but, he was a very, caring. We loved JT as we grow older get the hell out of here, kid. I'm gonna tell mom, we don't care, get the hell out of here. I don't know. We also traveled to some of Pitt State football games, went to North Dakota and Portland. We showed up in Portland, there's people there that said, your cheerleaders are bigger than our football players. Okay, any more?
Yes, let's remember Jim with
Jim, yes, that's right. Jim's friend. JT's friend, that's right. Jim and I would, get together and Jim would want to Indian wrestle me. And I was a little bit bigger than Jim. And we'd get out and we'd fool around and then I'd flip him. Let's do it again. Anyway,
What?
Jim, he was competitive.
was his last name Boyle?
Yes.
Boyle.
That's right. JT, anybody else on JT?
Not much you can say about JT that just doesn't cleave your heart. You know, there's so many stories and things about JT, you know, that everybody has. He was like you said, he was a lover, loved by all. He was always good for a snarky comment when needed.
Jan said she might have to slap him.
Yeah, these things, he wouldn't have fit in with the Me Too movement. No, he was two handsy, stick your tongue in your mouth, you know, and, he'd have been reported early.
He was, what things they say about women today, you get thrown in jail for, he got by with.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why I said me.
He wouldn't make it these days.
Well, all I ever heard about him was this.
Yeah, he did. He's not twisting, he just felt it.
I didn't know, I wasn't in the middle of it. I wasn't there watching.
It was a-
Dared to do.
It was like I said, the Me Too movement would have nothing for him.
He was, I shouldn't, no, I won't say that.
But he's the guy,
Yeah.
he's the guy that could have backed off from that too.
Backed off from.
If you told him to back off.
Easy, and it wouldn't have bothered me a bit.
Stop.
Well, do y'all remember when we had a little discussion out at Georgia, Tim and Georgia, we were having there, and JT and I got into a pretty violent discussion. I think Rick got in between us.
Rick got the chokehold put on. By somebody.
Next, let's just keep, we're gonna go south.
that it?
We don't wanna go that far south, this is a church service.
Well, I'm glad that Mom and Dad did, stay with them until I got there. You know, they had to keep them until they got one they liked. Anyway, I am very fortunate to be a part of this family of 14, as somebody said, the tree grows a lot of nuts on one of our shirts.
So who did you have, you married,
Called Betty.
Betty and
Betty
Betty?
Jean was, hey.
Grandma's Aza's cousin.
I delivered papers and one guy was, hey Dave, you made any hay tonight?
Oh.
Oh, yeah, that's, anyway, yes, Betty passed away, what, 2 years ago, Gina?
No, just last
Last
year.
year.
Not last year.
Yeah,
Last
yeah.
year.
Not a year yet.
And I have 3 wonderful children, Jeannie, David, and John. And I'm very fortunate, like all of us, to have wonderful children.
And we lost Willis.
The what?
Willis.
Oh, yes, yeah, we lost Willis. Okay.
Yes.
How many grandchildren do you have?
I have 17.
Wow.
And 14 Great.
Wow.
So can everybody beat that?
No. But Jeannie, you gotta thank Jeannie for that one.
And, okay, I can see it. Who has the oldest, who was the, Fowler was the oldest, and they had the youngest. Had to be Dad. Dad was almost 60 when I was born. I'm glad. Well, yes.
Yeah,
I'm patience.
I don't have any trouble.
But I just wanna say, you know, I mean, Mom loves all of you guys, and you know, the huge part of the family,
Absolutely.
all those years.
There's some
I
stories
remember
there
the
too.
bread- yeah,
I
stories
remember
there too.
the big breakfast that Betty made at the reunion. She had all
Yeah.
those little kids. Gee, we could just, I was like, wow. Wow, Betty, wow. I did. I was like, how did you do that?
And then David, I found out that Betty was in my stepdad's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Adele,
The war,
Adele
war.
was my, was my step grandma.
We didn't know if we could get
We
married.
weren't sure we could, we thought we were step cousins, and I'm like.
I'm sure glad you didn't have any children.
I didn't have any kids.
We have three. but-
Thank God you didn't.
No, you and Jan
We have
together.
three, but we
You have children together?
We have three. but
Oh, I didn't know about that.
They dated in high school.
Yeah, we.
Well, yes. And then I want to acknowledge Janie.
Yeah, yeah, she's
We
been
have
really.
love of war and peace. She would have been a pretty good Fowler.
We tried to drown her yesterday. Oh, we couldn't.
I fought to the surface.
It's initiation.
Oh, yeah, I understand you girls.
Tried to
initiated.
drown her.
You got one coming.
We baptized her.
Yes. Well,
It's great to be here, by the way.
well, I'm glad you're here.
Appreciate everybody.
What else, JT?
I invite, what I would thought is that we take a moment of silence to remember all those people. If you have nothing else that you wanna present.
Just a little, person, that's all. But you want to go ahead.
Well, why don't you present your verse?
Predicted. Say it.
Your verse.
Okay, from Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say, rejoice. Let all men know your forbearance. The Lord is at hand. Have no anxiety about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication and thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will keep your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus.
Amen.
Thank you.
The other thing that I thought we would do is recall all the people that you mentioned and those who have passed, and sit for a moment in a moment of silence, love and prayerful silence, together. And after a minute, I'll start it, but then I want you to lead it, Our Father. I'll start it out, but I'm gonna turn it over to you. I'll time it. Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and run my silence for all of our.
Here we go.
be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. That is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you.